All right, guys, here with Bill Kurich, head coach at Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri. Uh, Bill has built one of the most winning programs in the Midwest, no matter division. And thanks for coming on, man.
No problem. No problem at all.
So if you're good, we always start this thing out with just kind of like just giving us a brief overview of your playing and coaching career. So if you could go ahead and start with that, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Started out. I played at Kurich University in Central Illinois for a year and a half, and ended up transferring to a small Division III in Waverly, Iowa, Wartburg College. Finished up playing there. Had a good career. Had fortunate to be on some teams that won a lot of games and championships. Got into coaching immediately thereafter. Got an assistant job at Concordia University, Chicago, which is like the closest school to my home. So got to go back home, start my coaching career. Was there for 3 years, the GA. Left there, went to St. Joseph's College, obviously, which, we share that in common. And I spent 4 years I was at St. Joseph's College in the early to mid 2000s. And was fortunate enough to be a part of some good things there. And luckily got an opportunity to be a head coach in 2007 at Webster University. Kind of an odd thing. My wife is from the St. Louis area and obviously gave us an opportunity to get nearer to her family. But, the reality is I never heard of Webster University before I got the job, and went down and interviewed and took a look at the facilities and the school and the area. And I thought, oh man, this is a place that's waiting to explode. And was lucky enough to get the job, and been there for 14 years, just finished there, finishing up what would have been our 14th season. So, that's what it is. It's home now for us.
Yeah. So, I guess when you took the Webster job, it was, like you said, it was pretty much an unknown. And, I guess one of my questions is, how did you develop the program so fast? I mean, because you guys have been winning at a really high rate for a long time. It's not like this is, it took you 10 years to do it. It took you a couple years to do it. So
sure. No, I will be very honest. The players at first, that I was kind of, took over the group. Some of my favorite players I ever coached, those were really tough kids. Not a severe lack of talent at all, but really, really tough kids that wanted some change and wanted, some structure and things like that. And, we were fortunate enough to, without even recruiting, to take the kids that were left over and win a conference championship in that first year. And it really started building. We've gone through some phases. We obviously being a 28-year-old head coach at the time, I wanted to win right now. And so we went out and tried to find some transfers and try some junior college kids and things like that. And we went through some trials and tribulations. We won games, along the way, but we had some things to figure out about, what kind of a program we wanted to be up and down. And maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, we really settled into a scenario saying, hey, we're gonna really look at, at 4-year players, bring in freshmen, try to find kids that can play right away, guys that can get their feet wet, get bigger and better, stronger within the system that we got, and grow from there. But I mean, luckily, I say luckily, we've won 13 conference championships in a row. We've never not won a conference championship since we've been here. But the program has gone from one that is starting to become regionally competitive to being nationally competitive, and we're still trying to win the whole thing. But we've got a good group now, and obviously as as time has gone on, and what we've done is kind of made its way around the Midwest, and we're starting to recruit a little bit more nationally now. And we got a lot of California kids, a lot of Colorado and Texas kids, and early on it was really just mostly Midwest recruiting. But that's expanded, and our footprint is expanded for sure.
Yeah. So you've had some really cool. I don't know, you've had guys that have had really good years that may have been overlooked in the recruiting process, didn't work out at other places. And then you had the Josh Fleming kid that was a third rounder. What was that, 2-3 years ago? Is that right?
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, he was a fifth rounder.
And he was in big league camp this year, right?
Yeah, I think he still is in big league camp. I think they actually have
Yeah,
moved him on the big league roster. He's still making big league money.
yeah, that's even better, man. That's
Yeah,
like that's like a dream for him,
yep.
I'm sure. So I mean, you guys have crushed it on the recruiting end for a long time. So what are some tangible and intangible things that you kind of look at in terms of recruiting student athletes?
I think when you're recruiting at small schools, if we've both been at places, that are, we're not in Power Five places by any means. We're left to find, some young men that are maybe lacking in a certain area. Maybe it's a kid that's a step slow. A bigger kid that's got some power and maybe a below average defender and a below average runner. Or maybe on the opposite end, you get a taller, skinnier kid that's a good athlete and can run, but the strength isn't there yet. So you're always trying to find you're always finding a kid with with a little bit of a deficiency, I guess you would say. And you're finding a lot of kids in those areas that have a chip on their shoulder. Those kids that thought they were gonna be a Division I kid, gonna be a high end guy, and all of a sudden they're not, and they're left at to find a place like the Webster University that's going to recruit them. And we're been fortunate enough to have a good structure in place to develop those kids and make them bigger and better and stronger. Most of the kids that we have, 99% of the kids we have, just are in such a need of a gaining of strength, and putting weight on. But I guess when you're talking about recruiting, if we tend to go a direction, in terms of recruiting, I will say on the offensive side of things, we've always kind of sided on trying to find kids that can run, God, I love the guys at the ball of the ballpark, but generally, we've been able to find a more complete player that can run, play defense, and then as they get bigger and stronger, develop into a really nice college player. And on the pitching side of things, obviously you're looking for some projection. But some of our best kids have been, right-handed pitchers that are 5'8" and 5'9" that have been completely overlooked by other places because of their size. But they have all kinds of pitch ability. Now, Josh Fleming's a complete different story. We got a kid out of Columbia, Illinois, my hometown here now, that was 6'1" and 160 pounds and threw 82 miles an hour. But he threw a strike every pitch. He had an unbelievable changeup. That's just dumb luck. 6 or 8 months later, he's throwing 90 miles an hour and still had the same exact command. And 3 years later, he's a fifth round. And those stories are going to happen. I think when you're out looking for a type of kid from time to time, it's just you're going to stumble upon those things. But heck, we didn't know what he was going to be. We knew he was going to be a really good pitcher, but he's going to be a big leaguer. If you'd have told me that when he committed to us, I wouldn't laugh, but you could never seen what was gonna happen for him in terms of change. So, I guess, and that's where we kind of tend towards. But God, I like good baseball players. I like kids that love to play baseball. They have to love to play baseball because the amount of time and effort that is asked from those kids in college, if they don't love baseball, it will wear them out. It just will. So, I guess one of the things that we start with is want to find guys that really, really love the game and really want to enjoy the process, because the actual moments of glory on the field are so fleeting and so few and far in between, that if you're playing this game to hit 4 triples a year and slide to third base head first and get up and pound your chest and look in the dugout, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You got to do it because you like your teammates and you love being around them and you love the weight room and love getting your butt kicked and early practices and late practices, because that's what college baseball is more than it is those glory moments, I guess you would say.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, for what you guys have done, I know you said you don't like the guy that or that you do love the guy, but that bangs the ball over the wall. But it's, you guys have had a double-digit home run guy ever since the ball change?
Yeah, we've had some guys at the ballpark. We've had a couple of guys that we've stumbled upon that can hit the ball off the fence, and there's no doubt. But I think in terms of the recruiting now, obviously when the ball changed and the bat changed, it's a little bit tougher to find those guys, and the guys that can do it sometimes are a little bit of a liability defensively. Heck, I'd love us to hit 40, 50 home runs in a college season, but we're more of a 25 to 30 home run team, and maybe a few, 100 stolen base team. And I think it's probably, I don't know, it's just the way we tend to play the game sometimes. But
Right.
God, I love those kids get the ball in the fence too.
So, you talked about, you guys stealing 100 bags, at least 100 bags a year or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, you've kind of turned your focus into, not necessarily your focus, but you have that base running mentality where you guys work really hard at it, and you steal a lot of bags each year. So if you could, without giving the playbook away, what are some things that you guys do from a base running standpoint? Because it's not like you have a bunch of 6'6" runners, right? I mean,
No,
you
not
have
even.
guys that are 7'3" runners that are stealing 15, 20 bags a year. I mean, is that safe to say?
Very, very safe to say that. I think more than anything, sometimes I explain it to our young assistants this way. There's only so much time in a day, right? I mean, and you can say, hey, I want to spend you practice for 2.5 hours, and where is your focus going to be? And I kind of started to take a look over time and started to think about this, like where can we make kids better, and is it spending 2 hours on offense? Is that going to make the kids better hitters? Is it spending 2 hours defensively? Is that going to make my shortstop pick it up and throw it to first? Without making 25 errors a college season. I guess more than anything, we've just settled into the fact I think you can make kids better on the base pass. Their ceiling, they can grow so much. I think it's a really undertaught skill. So, we at a practice, in a normal practice, we spend 20 minutes a day, every single day, stealing bases. Running bases, I guess you would say. We'll start at home plate and we'll talk about how we got in the box on day one. And day two is, how we're at, starting with our leadoffs. And we spend 20 minutes on a specific base running segment every single day. Well, over the course of 9 months of, or whatever it is, 5 months of working with the kids, that's a lot of practices. And we get really, really intricate into into what we're doing off first base and, what we're going to try and do to steal bases from first to second, from second to third, and we make a focus on it. We stretch every day for 15 or 20 minutes. We throw for 10 minutes, and immediately the offensive guys go into 20 minutes worth of base running. So when you get into our program, the first thing that you'll know is that it's important to me. So it better be important to the kid. Not something that we touch upon, once a week or twice a week. It is legitimately every single day. And so the guys understand that they better know exactly what's going on when they get on base. And if they don't, they just don't play. Those guys that can't handle the base running stuff. And because there is a lot that we do, we spend 20 minutes a day. When you get to first base, we full of signs and we're running out of squares on that wristband of different things that we do. And it'll go from how we lead off and how we, what kind of steal start we're going to, utilize. And I think Matt Tallarico is, tapped into some different things and people are starting to listen to his stuff about, utilizing some ball, when the pitcher is going to be quick to the plate. And really all that we're doing is trying to figure out what the other team's weakness is and being prepared to take advantage of that at any given time. So I guess that, that starts the whole process is just, having the kids understand that it is really important to me. We talk about it during the recruiting process. And some of our best base students are, our 7'1", plus runners. God, we had a kid, that was a 6'4" runner. He stole 59 bases one year. That would be great. But, the reality is you're getting 7 flat runners. And kids get slower in college too. They don't get, I'm trying to put 30 pounds on them. They're not going to get faster in college. But it's really not about that. It's about taking advantage of the situation and being prepared. And I think one of the things that's happened for us is it's just become a scenario that's what we're known for. And I think that there's some moments throughout the season that you can't put your finger on that just being known as a base running team affects the game. Maybe it's a pitcher that's worried about being really quick to the plate because he thinks that we're stealing bases like we're the 85 Cardinals. But maybe it's the fact that our shortstop, who's a 7'7" runner, hits a 3-hopper to the shortstop, and that shortstop has to come and get it because he thinks every one of our guys is flying down the line. And the reality is he has all day, but that pressure that we tend to put on teams, I think has a very, very, it's a very legitimate thing, and if I laugh all the time, and our guys will laugh about it, when one of our slower runners comes up and, and you hear the defense, yelling out, "Hey, good runner, you're good runner, get rid of it." Man, you got all day, but it's just what our team has become known for. So, again, we've had years where we've stole 60 bases because that's the kind of team that we were, built around. This particular year we played 13 games. I think we stole 49 bases through 13 games.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were doing a good job. We had a couple guys at the top of the order that could really do a good job. We had a kid with Adam Lovell from transfer from St. Joe. He had 14 or 15 stolen bases in his first 13 games. So, they like it. Those kids like it. And if you're not a kid that buys into it on our team, you better really, really hit. I just tell you that.
Right.
So that's just really, really what it becomes.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point of the threat of base running kind of opens up your offense, almost maybe just as much as actually stealing the bag, just because how you're getting pitched, and it's more of an idea of, we don't want them to take one bag and then they give up two sometimes. I mean, was that the basis around it, or was it we just wanted to be really good at base running?
No, I mean, I just think it's a skill that, it started out as just, hey, let's get better at this. There's some things that we could take advantage of. So let's make sure we're just the most prepared team that we can possibly be on the bases. But you start to see the carryover effect, like you see the threat of being a base running team, the threat of being a base runner. We talk all the time about some of our guys that, they show bunt, way more than they even bunt. We're not a fake bunt and
right.
type of things, but, hey, if you attempt to bunt for a hit or at least show bunt for a hit once a game, the corner guys plan on us again, like every one of our guys is, Brett Butler up there. And, not that kids today know who Brett Butler is, but, it's like, corners are in on us again. Those are moments that you're going to hit a two-hop ground ball that's going to get by the third baseman because he's drawn in because he thinks that every one of our guys bunts and runs and does those types of things. So, it does carry over. And again, really, the goal is not to lead the country in stolen base. The goal is to lead the country in runs scored. But there's a different ways to get there. And sometimes sometimes you sit back and you wait for a few that your 3, 4, 5 guys hit a double or a homer. And sometimes you can do a lot of different things to create some problems and let a team beat themselves because of how you play the game.
Gotcha. So, man, what kind of advice do you have for these guys? Not necessarily pandemic advice, but just moving forward. I'm sure the landscape of college baseball is going to change a little bit. Like, what advice do you have for them as they go through?
I tell the kids all the time. I said, you want to find a school when you're talking about recruiting. You want to find a school that wants you as much as they want you as much as you want them. And that's the goal, is to find Florida State. It could be a small college. It can be it could be a mid-level place. But when kids get in trouble, there's so many kids transferring all over the country right now because kids get into a scenario where there's a mismatch in the relationship. Maybe a school loved them and they wanted them to come there and threw some money at them and did a lot of things, and the kid wasn't real happy about going there, but he had to go there because that was the best fit at the time, or vice versa. More times than not, I think it's vice versa. A kid will overreach his bounds to go walk onto a place that is, maybe take him as a walk-on when a step down a level below would have loved to have him. He might have been a guy or a starting pitcher, but instead now you're lower on the totem pole. You're a guy that's stuck behind a guy, and all of a sudden now you realize, hey, this isn't what I thought it would be, and they didn't want me as much as I wanted them, and now all of a sudden you're in a spot when your whole college career gets to be kind of messed up, and I will tell you, our best guys, our best players almost every year are our 4-year players. They're the guys that are most committed to the program, most committed to the school. They get the most involved to become your captains. They just grow with you. And I think those guys, a lot of times tend to have really have the best college experience when it's all said and done, when you're sitting around and old like we are and looking back and saying, who cares where you played when you're 40 years old? They don't care what level you played at. They care all that matters is, the relationships you made, and did you play? Did you win? Did you get a chance to dogpile and win championships and do those things? So, it's tough to pick a school. It's a confusing thing. As a coach, we do this 50 times a year. You do it, the kids do it once. I understand that there's confusion there, and mom and dad are trying to, work through this landscape of figuring out where the best place is for them. But I've said it all the time. One of the best things kids can do is go watch college baseball games. Go and watch Louisville play. Go and watch Southern Indiana play. Go and watch Transylvania. Go and watch Webster. Watch these, at school from each level, and you'd be really, really amazed. You could have walked out to a Webster University game, a baseball game 3 years ago, and saw, Josh Fleming and Kyle Urich, who were both pro guys for us, starting game, 1 and 2 of a doubleheader, and thought, holy cow, these kids are at a Division III school. Jeff Cameron was catching for us, hit the ball a country mile, and we had some really, really talented kids, and I don't think high school players understand that, how good the level of baseball is at up and down and across the board, and trying to figure out where they fit in.
For sure, man. I think that's the one thing we try to preach, is that you got to find a good fit, and you got to be able to be proud of the place that you went to. And I don't care what anybody says, man, winning's important. And if you go and get your teeth kicked in for 4 years, that's not fun. So, but BK, man, really appreciate the time. And, hopefully we get to see you on the recruiting trail a little bit this summer. Fingers are crossed.
For sure. I hope there is a recruiting trail this summer.
Yeah, really me nice. Too, man. All right, brother. We'll see you.
Thank you.